In the last video, we talked a lot about a situation where a company had a deferred tax liability generated in one year, and then it reversed in a succeeding year. It's just as likely for companies to have deferred tax assets originate in one year, and then you see a reduction in future taxes happen in a future year. When this happens, we are said to generate a deferred tax asset, where we see a future reduction in taxes because of something happening in the current year. Well, when a company generates a deferred tax asset and reports an asset like that on its balance sheet, like any asset, a company has to determine if that asset is truly valuable. And if a company looks at the asset, the deferred tax asset, and decides that it's not likely to recognize that asset or get value or benefit out of that asset, then it has to record a valuation allowance. It's a contra account that reduces the net balance of that deferred tax asset. And to decide if you need a valuation allowance, companies will consider positive and negative evidence, which is discussed in, let's see, where did I miss it? I think I must have missed it up here. Yeah, right here. When you're determining whether or not a valuation allowance is required, you have to look at both positive and negative evidence. Essentially, if a company, I'll go here first, if a company has strong earnings and is likely to generate a tax liability in the future, then it can usually leave a deferred tax asset on its balance sheet. Because remember, a deferred tax asset is a reduction in future tax. It's some kind of future deduction or exclusion of income that a company is going to be expecting. Well, if they were going to pay tax anyway because of the profits they're making, then a reduction, a future deduction is going to benefit them. So they'll get to use the deferred tax asset. However, the inverse is always true. Is also true. If a company has a history of losses or expects future losses, then they're not expecting to owe tax anyway. So if you have a deferred tax asset representing an item that's going to cause extra deductions in a year when you already have losses, then you're not likely to see a benefit from that deferred tax asset. So in these situations, a company has to record a valuation allowance to offset, at least partially, that deferred tax asset. And this example goes through that. Let's see, there's also a section in here about about releasing valuation allowances. Yeah, releasing valuation allowances. If you had previously recorded a valuation allowance and then you start to accumulate positive evidence, you can reverse that valuation allowance entry and recognize the deferred tax asset. The earnings at foreign subsidiaries is kind of beyond the scope of this class. I'm not really going to get into anything to do with how you record income tax expense related to foreign subsidiaries, so we'll skip Learning Objective 4. And I'll pick up with Learning Objective 5 on the next video.